back, everyone, to the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for listening tonight. Our website, stadiumjourney.com, is the world leader in sports travel information with reviews of over 2,500 stadiums all around the world. I think we're up to 37 countries right now. And we are so much more than just an awesome website. Connect with us on our social media channel at Stadium Journey. You can find audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast. Very simply, pick up your phone, type into your search aggregator, type in HIAC Talk Radio Network, wherever you go to find your favorite podcast, and we'll be there. Video simulcasts can be found on Stadium Journey's YouTube page. And if you're looking for our classic back catalog of podcasts, they can still be found at vocnation.com. And for those of you who want to be part of our live studio audience, we record live every other Tuesday night at 7 Eastern. Today's a Wednesday, yes, I know, but usually it's Tuesday night at 7 at danlaw.tv. And tonight we're running a little bit shorthanded, but we will kill off the penalty. I promise you that. Mark Viquez could not be here with us tonight, but if you want to follow him on the Twitter machine, you can find him at Ballpark Hunter. But with us tonight, we got Dave Cotney here. Follow him at ProFan9. And we got the other guy, Dan Calachico. You can find him online at danlaw83. And I'm Paul Baker. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. And we are happy to be joined tonight to fill out our square. We're joined tonight by Ryan Burgess. Ryan, among other things, is the PA announcer for the Buffalo Beauts of the Premier Hockey Federation and the Canisius Golden Griffins hockey team. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. Really excited to talk some with y'all.
All right. So we're going to talk a little Buffalo. We're going to talk a little bit about your career and your experiences. But I guess since this is a Buffalo-themed episode, we got to ask the first most important question. Anchor bar or Duff's?
Neither.
Oh, look at that. That's like when you asked Dan about a cheesesteak.
No, there's this place called the Barbell Tavern that I really like. I've been there a couple times, and they have the best wings around here that I've had yet.
Is that the place right across the street from the ballpark?
They've got two locations. One's in East Aurora, and they have one like closer to Amherst, I believe.
Okay, because
Washington Square is the one I think you're thinking of.
Yeah, because one of those things, all the locals, Buffalo locals, have their own local place that they tout. I know I went up to a Sabres game one time and met up with our colleague Andrew Kulik, who's from Buffalo. He writes for Art Voice magazine?
I believe so.
Yeah, and he took me to this little hole-in-the-wall place, and he says, these are the best wings in Buffalo. I don't care what anybody else says. So always have to ask that question. So, Ryan, we had Sam Fryman on last week from the Premier Hockey Federation. And, I've got my my banner-raising picture behind me. How are things going in Buffalo for you all this year?
It's an interesting season. We've had some travel postponements, and we've had some COVID postponements. So as far as the wins and the on-ice success, it's not really stacking up yet. But I think once this team finds their way into a groove, the plan is to peak going right into playoffs, and that's the best time to peak.
No doubt. And actually, the Beauts and yourself had a very interesting weekend last weekend, an exciting weekend.
It was Buffalo had to step in and host the All-Star Showcase because it was moved from Toronto because of the COVID restrictions they have up there. They wouldn't have been able to host it with fans, and the fans are the greatest part of the PHF experience that they get to watch these elite athletes. So to do that, they were able to work things out with the town of Amherst, which owns the rink in which we play, and we had ourselves a great weekend.
Nice. So you guys are in Amherst now because in the past few seasons, you all played right downtown, correct?
Right. After it was a couple of years ago, PSE relinquished, operating control of the Beauts back to the league. So they would have had to renegotiate everything that goes with it, like the ice fees and things like that. So we're now playing at Northtown Center in Amherst, which is right by the North Campus of the University of Buffalo.
Nice. And how is that experience working out for you? Because you've been with the Beauts for quite a while now, correct?
I think I'm the only one left from the first year. that's an actual staff member.
I actually have the same thing going on in Boston. I am the third longest tenured employee of the Pride. You got Jillian Dempsey, you got Kaylee Fracken, you got me.
I don't think there's any players left from year one. But as far as staff, I think I'm the only one left from the very beginning. So that's coming handy.
And the Beauts are not the only job you have. I mean, I touched on it before, but you do PA work for several teams, right?
Yep. In addition to the Beauts, I'm in Division I college hockey with Canisius College here. I've dabbled in some collegiate club hockey. My first actual hockey gig was with University of Buffalo's club hockey team. I did their games for the better part of 10 years. I'm in junior hockey with the Buffalo Junior Sabres. We play in the Ontario Junior Hockey League, and because of the COVID restrictions at the border, we haven't been able to play for 2 years.
So is that
I'm sorry.
Sorry, is that tier 2 or junior B or?
In the U.S., we're considered tier 2. We're a step below the USHL, but in Ontario, we're a step below like major junior, like the OHL and whatnot.
But still considered junior A?
Yes.
Okay.
In Canada, they call it tier 2 junior A.
Yeah.
Dave's got a beautiful mind face going right now. Like,
there's so much junior
Crazy
hockey in
Canadians.
Canada, it's not even funny. I don't know how they keep track of it all.
We do okay. Some of those like major junior is easy to follow, and then you go junior A, junior B, junior C. Those are kind of easy to follow. It's once you get outside of that, and it's like also junior A, but not Canadian Hockey League junior A. It gets a little confusing then.
It's just proximity. We're a lot closer to Toronto and the GTA than we are a lot of other areas playing junior hockey. So historically, that's where we've played. It's just made sense to go over there. I mean, I've been on road trips with the Junior Sabres as far as Trenton, Ontario, and that is a jaunt and a half. That's about halfway to Kingston.
Yep. Buffalo has been, well, for hockey insiders and media types, Buffalo has been on the OHL radar for decades. I think the league would love to be able to put a team in Buffalo because then they could secure OHL draft rights to the entire state. But there's a lot of competition in Buffalo. And then even, the rest of upstate New York, you've got AHL hockey, and I'm sure there's, USHL or whatever equivalent junior hockey down there too. So it's just never happened, and that's why you get funny things like a team in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, that's a great point, Dave. I've always wondered why the OHL hasn't put a team in that area. You figure there's enough hockey fans in Buffalo to go around.
The thing I've heard, or that I've kind of come to understand over the past several years, is that if it's not the absolute top level professional, Bills, Sabres, folks just don't care.
So Buffalo's
So
one
that's
of
the
those
challenge.
cities.
That's the challenge.
Well, I mean, look at
It's
college
happened in other places, yeah.
Look at college football in Buffalo. I mean, they were hideous for a long time, and even still, right? Like UB is never going to be a Power 5 kind of program. They're always going to be a kind of mid-range, what do they call it? What do they call it? The group of 5 or whatever. The next.
Yeah, I think so.
The next group. And you could tell like the facility isn't there, and support's up and down. I mean, I've been to Canisius for hockey a few times. I can't say I've ever not had the opportunity to stretch out and enjoy the space. So yeah, it's I think it's a plus minus, right? Like, you get when Canisius moved to the Harbor Center, it was great in one sense because they're not embarrassed by playing at Division III Buffalo State anymore, which just shocked me the first time I went. But you're literally across the street from the Buffalo Sabres, right? So
the building's connected, actually.
it's tough.
Yeah, we're right on the metro line too. Right at the very end, the Erie Canal Harbor Station, the special event station. So it's easy for like students and whatnot to get down there. It's just a matter of cajoling them to fill out our student section and help me and our pep band out.
So yeah, right. That brings up some good questions. You got a question there, Dan?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask something similar, but somebody in the chat named Roland asked the same thing. As a member of the Buffalo Beauts, what was it like being around the Bills, being around the Sabres, having the only championship in the city for a long time?
Well, we had actually won that title before they even assumed operations, but have to say it was pretty cool,
I don't want to talk about that game. Sorry, guys.
Being able to see that kind of the same, we're on this kind of the same level as the Bandits at the time because they win NLL titles. They just haven't been able to get it done in the Big Four yet, no matter how many cracks they've had at the can.
Right.
Nah, I remember being super excited watching that. No offense, Paul, but
No, what a game! For those of you who aren't aware, that was the 2017 season, if I remember correctly, and the championship game was played at Songus Arena in Lowell, Massachusetts. And Brianna McLaughlin had a game of a lifetime. I think the final count was 72 saves. Ryan, is that correct?
The official count is still not accurate. She's still officially shorted. But everybody knows it was a 70 save performance.
Yeah, I was at that game. I was sitting right behind her for most of it. I got some great pictures from that game because I was sitting there because I chose that seat because Songus Arena seats like 6,000 fans. There were maybe a couple hundred there. So I'm like, where am I going to get the best spots? And then for the third period, I'm like, where am I going to see the comeback, the epic comeback? And it just never happened. She just saved shot after shot. And Boston that year, I think their record was something crazy like 23-1.
Yeah, they didn't lose much that year.
Yeah, they were just overwhelming favorites going into the game. And then they ran into McLaughlin and company, and it was.
He saw the puck really, really well that night.
I just remember being super excited because one, I wanted to see Boston lose, and because it's been so long since Boston's seen any success and happiness. So I was really hoping they would. No, but I was also excited because it was Buffalo, and I'm not a Sabres fan. I'm a miserable Flyers fan, as you can tell from the conversation at the beginning before we went on the air. But it's always impressed me watching Buffalo Sabres fans show up for their team this year, notwithstanding, like for a scrimmage game and filling that arena and seeing the Beauts get support and then just winning the championship from not even arguably, the team that year. I was like, oh, that's great. I really hope people are happy, and I hope some of the Sabres fans go, I'm going over there.
I actually ended up meeting the team bus when it came back. So I was one of the first folks who wasn't part of the traveling party that got to see Izzy and whatnot. I think Channel 2 interviewed me, and I might have said something to the effect of, y'all need to get out and see this team.
Yeah.
But a little bit more diplomatically for 4 a.m.
So, where are you at?
So has there been any sort of attendance change moving from Harbor Center out to Amherst?
Well, what I like to say about Buffalo is you can be anywhere you want to be in 20 minutes because our traffic isn't that bad. Getting around is generally easy. Our home opener this year, I think who's our home opener against? Connecticut? Very well attended. Haven't been getting a lot. To my knowledge, we don't do as well with the pre-sale but at Northtown Center, there's 4 pads. Something's always going on there. So we do walk up very well, and the building looked pretty full for that home opener. Oh no, it was Toronto.
Oh,
And what's the size difference, or is there size difference?
Well, Harbor Center seats 1,800. I want to say Northtown is a little less than that, maybe like 15.
So almost the same.
Yeah.
A little smaller.
Yeah.
Has there been any notable differences now that ESPN has jumped aboard and started airing these games?
Well, this has been some of my first experience operating to a broadcast schedule. So it's pretty invaluable for me as far as my knowledge, and I eventually want to announce at the highest levels. So knowing how all this works is part and parcel of it. So I'm happy for it. Have to keep the music a little lower during intermissions because they do have interviews with a camera across the ice to the penalty boxes. So just have to keep that in mind.
Excellent. I can tell you as a fan, and don't take offense to this, I don't have a horse in any race. I watch the Premier Hockey League because, and I say that because I always forget the order of the initials, even though I know the name of the league, PHF. I will watch all the games, and I was watching them all on Twitch, but to get the rub in high def and seeing people coming and showing up and seeing the excitement in the games, you could see that translating into the play, which I've said from the beginning, it's hockey. There's no difference. Watch this. Watch these ladies. It's competitive hockey.
I was talking about it with a friend earlier this week, and I think the best way to describe it is, say, NHL hockey coming out of the first lockout, 05-06, because there's speed and there's emphasis on restraining and those kinds of fouls. And in women's hockey, of course, you can't body check. So if you're fast, if you can control the puck, if you're skating as a unit, and you can defend as a team, those are the keys to success in the PHF.
Well, there's no checking, but I did notice a little uptick in the physicality than the previous years, or maybe because it's being presented by ESPN, I just was kind of noticing it more because all the shots are a little bit better than it was on a. I don't know. It's coming across as it's a little more feisty this year, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it because I'm seeing punches that weren't getting swung on before, and I'm seeing people getting the word. I'm like, okay, let's go. But if you're not watching it, that's your problem because this is great. And plus, as I said before, being the miserable Flyers fan I am, I'll be like, is the PHF on? Because I ain't watching this. And I'll go watch it.
I liken it to, I played roller hockey for a number of years when I was younger, and the printed rules always said no checking, but expect physical contact because you're battling for the puck.
Yep.
We're seeing the same thing here.
Yeah, it's happening. I mean, I said it with Sam on, and I'll say it with you on. Anybody listening to this, if you've not given the PHF a chance, listen, it's hockey. If you like hockey at all, you're going to love these games. And like I said, with the ESPN airing it now, it's readily available, where Twitch it's not difficult to use, but Twitch was a bit of we mentioned it with Sam, I mentioned it with you, and I'm sure you were watching sometimes. The community that got built on Twitch within the NWHL and now the PHF is insane. The numbers, it's one of the Twitch community. It's one of 3 Twitch channels I watched where there wasn't arguing, like at all. It was people welcoming anybody. Oh, you should root for this team, and boo Boston, you suck. Just kidding, all that kind of thing. I'm not kidding though. I boo Boston. No, but there was this little thing where I'm like, there's a lot of people that don't kind of know what Twitch is and won't go near it. And now that ESPN, it's on TV, I'll just watch it on TV. So it's felt different to me as a fan. I don't know if it's translated to you guys down on the ice and at the arenas, but it just feels different this year. And I'm really looking forward to see how the Isabel Cup is covered. And Man, that's going to be exciting because, like I said, it's been feisty this year.
And those playoffs are going to be exciting. We got 3 really solid teams at the top of the standings, and the next level down isn't a big step down for them either. So I think these playoffs
Anything can happen.
Incredibly competitive. Yeah.
I'm about to freeze my keister off next month because we are hosting Toronto in the outdoor game.
Oh no! Wait,
whoa! Be another feather, an outdoor game. That's awesome.
Hold on a second. Wait, what? How have I not?
You guys did one last year too, or the year before, Ryan.
The year before, it was called the Buffalo Believes Classic.
That's
the Metropolitan Riveters were there and nearly pulled off the comeback. Taylor Kersey had another one of her hold my beer, I got this moments.
I remember that game, yeah.
That was something to watch. And I was coming right from a Canisius game, so one of my trusted colleagues who kind of fills in for me kind of got us set up, and we split the game. He did the Metro starters, I did the Beauts starters. He did a period, I did a period, and it was fun. So I'm hoping that everybody watching on ESPN Plus appreciates the spectacle of outdoor hockey.
Absolutely. So speaking of spectacles, Ryan, I have actually been to a Beauts game. A few years back, they did a doubleheader at the. Why can't I think of the name of the arena now? They did a Beauts game in the afternoon, Sabres game at night.
Oh yeah, that was
Arena.
That was the one at KeyBank Center where we had Minnesota in that weekend.
Yep, and it was incredible because they had expected just a few people to show up, and they had, I think, 3 or 4 sections on one side set aside for the fans. Those things filled up so quickly that they had to open more sections, and eventually a good half of the lower bowl was filled for this game. It was
half the 100 level. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Were you working that game?
That was one of my games, and that was actually the first professional game I've ever called at KeyBank Center.
So there you go. I'm waiting for the Pride to do something like that with the Bruins too. So I'll get my shot. So we're talking a lot about the PHF. Your thoughts on the new initiatives that were just announced, the new salary structure, expansion, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm thrilled to see the investment in our elite athletes, and I hope it continues because we're building something here, and everybody loves to rag on us. But I mean, tell me the NHL didn't have problems in its first 10 years, especially because they're communicating by, rain and whatnot.
They got problems now.
Right? Let's be realistic. The NHL had such problems in its first 10 years. They don't even acknowledge them.
Right.
Because the original 6 were not the original 6.
No.
It was the original 4.
Down to
which
3.
I think one of them was actually, I think the Montreal was in the original 6.
Magic arenas magically burned down.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
It was the Canadians, the arenas, and Hamilton.
Yes, Hamilton.
Correct.
Yeah, I think Hamilton. Yeah.
No, even before that, I want to see
hockey's a people's history of hockey. CBC explains all.
I think Ottawa had a team.
We did.
There were 4.
Yeah, Ottawa had a team.
I have to look that up. I'm reading the history of the Canadians,
but no, Ryan,
that part was a little dull.
The NHL has problems now. It's
it was old as time, right?
Yeah, it never changes. The money just gets bigger, which is another whole nother podcast.
Well, that's what I'm hoping happens here. At least the money getting bigger, so that the salaries get bigger and our players can earn a living playing hockey, which is
the hockey players
here.
Right.
They can be hockey players and not ICU nurses like Kaylee Hutchison.
Well, we asked Sam about it, but we'll ask you about it as well, Ryan. There was a big step in that direction this year where the board increased the money going into the league, which also increases the salary across the board. That's got to have a great feeling, ripple effect down into the locker room.
It does. I'm sure it does. I don't exactly have the level of access that I've had in the past because of COVID protocols and things like that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Which is understandable, but the general feeling I'm getting whenever I talk to our general manager, Nate Oliver, there's just optimism. There's optimism about what we're doing now and what we're trying to do in the future. The money that's being sunk in, part of that's going to facility improvements too. I'm not sure what exactly that means. If it means we get better net pegs, then I'm all for it. The expansion, I'm thrilled to have Montreal coming in and another American-based team, because the more places where people can go to watch us, the better.
If you had your pick, Ryan, where would you put that 8th team?
Oh, that's a good one. My initial thoughts, Pittsburgh, because they've done so much with the league already. They hosted, I think, an all-star weekend. They've hosted games. Pittsburgh, Philly, the DMV, those would all be great. I could even see Raleigh. But
that's one that no one's brought up before.
Yeah,
because I see quite a bit of the Carolina Junior Hurricanes girls team on Twitter, and it seems like that's a program that they've really tried to build, maybe with an eye toward attracting a team. But on the other side of the ledger, I see Minnesota out there by their lonesome screaming for a closer trip.
Yeah.
So Detroit, Madison, Wisconsin, I think that would be a fantastic fit.
That's what I've been screaming for years now.
Is Madison?
Yep. Or Chicago.
Solid.
There is Chicago is what I would like to see.
Mhm.
But yeah, all the choices that you listed, all fantastic options as well. And how great is it that we're talking about cities maybe vying for a professional women's franchise?
That's really exciting to see, especially as the women's sports movement has gained so much steam over the past few years. I'm just getting that feeling that it's like a rock that's getting ready to go down a big hill, or like a snowball and go down a hill, gets bigger. And a rising tide lifts all boats, as I say. So we will just have to see what happens and enjoy the ride such as it is.
So what's in the current situation, current COVID, recent COVID situation? What's Toronto doing right now? Are they playing at home and everybody's crossing the border or whatnot, or are they playing somewhere else?
They're playing in Toronto.
Okay.
The Beauts just went up there a few weeks ago. With the restrictions they had in effect at that time, they couldn't have fans, but they could play the game.
Yeah, we've just yesterday they've opened it up, and you can now have 500 max or 50%, whichever's less.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we've got a lot of junior teams now trying to figure out, which of their 3,000 season ticket holders get to have tickets for the games.
Rotating lottery.
It's a good problem to have. You could just be like America and ignore it.
In the like the Leafs and the Raptors, I think they're just like, yeah, forget it. We're not worth it. We're not even gonna bother.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I understand, and it's like from day one, it's all adapt and adjust. We knew the wave would come again, and everybody's trying a different way. I do like seeing the effort Canada is putting into trying to keep as many people not getting sick versus that's just my personal thing.
All right. So, Ryan, let's shift gears a little bit. Can you take us behind the curtain and let our listeners know what it's like, what entails the work of a PA announcer?
Okay, can I translate this question?
Please do. Okay,
so what Paul really wants you to do is convince us that what he does is really hard.
There's difficulty in everything. Some might say, like, my difficulty might be depending on Paul. I don't know. Do you do the music too at Warrior?
No, you have a much more complicated job than I do. I just do
Yep.
the
And
I just straight talk. Yeah.
that's where it comes in, because for all of these games that I do, I'm the public address guy, I'm the in-rink DJ, and I'm my own sound engineer, controlling my own volume levels and things like that. So on the PA side, preparation is the key. Know the names, become one with the names, just make sure you've got them, because that's the most important part of our job, is making sure those names are right.
Have you ever had anyone come up to you and say, hey man, you just really screwed up my name? Or vice versa, or have someone compliment you that, hey, you know what? You're the only one who's ever gotten my name right.
I got a lot of that when I was doing basketball in high school. Like somebody from 2 towns over would say, hey, you nailed my name. But as I've gone further, not really, because at least at the NCAA level, you've got line charts and there's a pronunciation key there. If you have questions, you go ask the SID before the game.
Yep. Yeah, that's the key, like you said, and that's the same thing I've struggled with is when you get a roster, like last night, for instance, at a hockey game I did, Division III game, got the lineups like 5 minutes before the game, no pronunciation guide, so you got to wing it. But I've actually had both experiences. That's why I asked the question. I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh no, you messed it all up," and I've had families come up to me and thank me for getting the name right. So
See,
at the end of the
good,
end of the day, we're looking to butcher score as 0, is what I like to say. Get everything right as best you can, and if you make a mistake, hopefully it's one that only you notice.
And I found I'm my own worst critic.
Yeah, I'm absolutely my own worst critic. Not only when it comes to speaking, but when it comes to the music I play.
So
What's your preferred playlist, Ryan?
I'm all over the place. Just generally, my own philosophy on hockey is that it is not a family-friendly sport, and teams need to stop treating it like it is. Like what I would give for one warm-up that I don't have to censor, just one.
I got to do the music one game when I first started because they were a little short, and they decided they didn't like my playlist, so that was the end of my disc jockeying career.
Oh,
I was a little too heavy on the '80s metal for their taste.
Are there misses? Absolutely, there are, but more often you just find a flow. You're a little nervous at first because you've got the music behind your introductions and everything like that, and then you're going right to a pump to get ready for the opening face-off. Takes a couple whistles to find a flow, but once you find it, you're going, and you take what the game gives you. That's the way I look at it.
Nice.
So to compare your job in both the PHF and NCAA, is there one thing that you wish the PHF would do more like the NCAA, or vice versa, or how do they differ for you?
Well, the pregame protocol between the two is pretty much the same, and I kind of think because because the PHF's a professional league, the way I'd like to do the pregame is the way I hear it done at the NHL level, which is before the teams even take the ice, you announce the officials, you announce the visiting starting lineup, then teams hit the ice, you announce your starters, everybody lines up on the lines, anthems, and go. I'd like to see that in the PHF.
Yeah, it really does mirror a college pregame right now.
Yeah.
Almost to a T.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any embarrassing stories you want to share with us, Ryan? Something that just went sideways real quick, or?
Yeah,
You don't have
Saturday, actually. Saturday, I'm pretty sure because I ended up in my script that I print out, I wrote down one team's starting lineup in the wrong place. So I might have misidentified them when I was going on Saturday. And I'm like, yeah, this is probably going to happen, but just make it sound good and that'll go.
So can we shift a little and talk a little college hockey?
Oh yeah, by all
Are we
means.
good with that?
Absolutely.
So we kind of touched on Canisius moving from Buffalo State to the Harbor Center. And I think it's fair to say, I mean, Canisius has some real challenges when it comes to attracting fans, especially students. So, you know, there's about what 2,500 students at Canisius, of which only about 1,800 are undergrads. I think they're, well, knowing what I know up here, there are plenty of those from the Great White North who, well, maybe I don't know about now, but they would go down there and go to school, do their Bachelor of Education or whatever. How hard is it to get those students to come out and support a team like that, especially one that's off campus?
It can be a challenge, but our students, I guess, PEP organization, C Block it's called, has done a pretty good job, all things considered. I mean, they've hosted pregame rallies at the Kessler Athletic Center, which is on campus. Free food, things like that. That'll always bring in college students. And then they're all like, hey, pile into a bus or two that we've got here for you. We're going downtown. We're going to the hockey game. RIT's in town tonight, and they bring fans. So we got to kick them out of our own building and, run the table with them.
And it would RIT be considered like the big rival, or still
Niagara's the big rival. RIT would be as well.
And the difference between RIT and Canisius is only about what 10,000 students or whatever. I mean, they have I went to a game there. They have a huge following in their arena, which is a super nice college arena.
Yeah, that was built within the past 10 years or so, the Policini Center.
Yeah.
And they just got some good news they did at RIT. They're going to be able to offer scholarships to hockey players now, I think, starting next season.
And they weren't before.
Correct, because hockey, I believe, was like their only D1 sport, and they're D3 everywhere else.
Okay.
So they weren't allowed to offer scholarships to their Division I athletes. Now they are.
Okay. And college hockey's funny like that. There are quite a few D2 schools that do D1 hockey, and that's it. And even in your own conference there, it's kind of an eclectic kind of mix.
Yeah, it is. I think AIC, which is one of the top schools in the conference right now, Bentley University, I believe they are Division I in hockey and Division III in other sports. Division II. But that doesn't detract from, the quality of players. Bentley has a really good business program, and I think they're going to be attracting quite a few players because, they were here a couple weeks ago to play us, and those were a couple of hard games. And Bentley historically has not been, a insurmountable opponent.
Mm-hmm. They're on the rise, though. They're following AIC's lead, I believe.
Nothing wrong with that. The more quality hockey and Atlantic hockey, the better.
The Atlantic League is no longer the laughingstock it once was. That's for damn sure.
So, with the changes in the NCAA to the what is it, name, image, likeness, which is freeing up, money for players. I don't fully understand it, but players are getting money. Do you see this trickling into hockey at all, or later?
I don't believe I've seen anything just yet with the Griffs, but I think it's going to, within the next few years, as things continue to happen with the NIL stuff and people see how things are done, they'll be able to, take advantage of it a lot more than they are now.
Do you think it will change the eligibility so that players who have played junior in Canada, essentially, or, Erie or Saginaw or Flint or whatever, that they would actually be able to play NCAA hockey?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure of that because the major junior contracts, like in the OHL, there's like an education package or a stipend that goes toward education. So it would be interesting to see how all of that would shake out. I don't know that there would be an immediate change into that eligibility.
And that education package was brought in specifically to combat the NCAA, right? And essentially what it can do is can keep some of that talent playing in Canadian University after they are finished with their junior career, if they decide not to play professionally. There's a clock attached to it. I want to say it's like 2 years that they would have to enroll, as opposed to it, in perpetuity or anything like that. That would
be interesting to see.
That would sure change the landscape, though.
Oh, yeah, it would. There have been some games, where we've drawn fairly well. I mean, we always seem to have a good crowd in the building when Niagara's in town, because it seems all of Niagara Falls comes down. There was one game we hosted the Atlantic Hockey Final Four here in Buffalo 1 year. One of the semifinal games was Niagara RIT. Ended up being a 1-0 win for Niagara in overtime. Literally, half the building was orange, half the building was purple, and it was a sight to see.
Nice.
We've had some non-conference opponents in here. We've had Clarkson in here. There are a lot of Clarkson alumni in the Buffalo area, so they even held an alumni mixer on the concourse, which you can see behind me here before our game. And I still can't believe we had them, but we had North Dakota here for a weekend.
Really? Wow.
And we swept them.
Nice.
Oh, all right.
And that single-handedly kept them out of the tournament. It dropped their pairwise ranking to the point where they didn't make it on an at-large.
Oopsies.
So I'm looking at the roster, and maybe this is revisionist history or whatever, but it seems to me that there are far more Americans on the Canisius roster than there normally is. I mean, my experience with watching Canisius hockey has been like it's 95% Canadians, and maybe 1 or 2 Americans, but it seems like it's a little. Maybe not quite 50-50, but it's a little bit closer to that.
And that's a testament to, I think, to the job that our coaching staff does in recruiting. Trevor Large will go anywhere to find talent. And in the past, he's had a couple of great assistants to help with the recruiting. Scotty Mosier, who I believe is now an assistant coach in Vermont. Taylor Nelson, who left the program and took another job. Marty Holinka, who's now the director of youth hockey for the Seattle Kraken. So they were all obviously finding success. But while they were here, they helped us find success in recruiting, not just from the Great White North, but all across the country.
Yeah, it always seemed to me to be, that they were just kind of mining that Southern Ontario, Niagara area. That's where a huge chunk of their recruits were coming from. And it didn't seem to be that diverse a group. But yeah, hey, I don't know who went on that scouting trip to Sweden, but hey, whatever works for you, right?
Video work does a great deal, I'm sure.
And how's the team doing this year?
We've had our ups and downs, but we're in the top 3 in the conference, but it's starting to get really tight. Every game that we play is so important from here on out. We have Air Force this weekend. The big thing that will help is that I think all but one of our remaining games are at home. So we have Air Force. We have, it's a home. Two aren't at home. We have a home and home with Niagara, a home and home with Mercyhurst to close it out. We have Air Force this weekend and Sacred Heart as well coming.
And those, from a travel perspective, I mean, Niagara is like, what? It's like going to the rink for some people, right? It's not far at all. Even Mercyhurst is not too bad either. So it's not like having to go out to Colorado or to the East Coast. So that's I think you're right. I think that bodes well for the wrap up.
It's going to be a grind to the end. We just have to put in the work and, take care of what we can take care of. Let the scoreboard take care of itself. If it means I get to blast the goal horn a whole bunch, I'm not mad about it.
Hey, who gets mad at that?
The
best job ever.
Well, you're the sound engineer too, so you got some grandmas in the stands. They be coming and swinging their canes at you. Turn that music down.
All right, Ryan. So before we wrap up here, this is of course the Stadium Journey podcast. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the vastly underrated city of Buffalo while we had you on board. I know Dave and I have done a few things talking about Buffalo, and it's a place we've both been quite a bit. And like I said, one of the more underrated cities to visit anywhere in the country. Convince our listeners, if they have not been to Buffalo, why they should come visit for a sports trip.
Like food? We got food.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Buffalo's got a great restaurant scene.
You want wings? We got them. You want beef on weck? Charlie the Butcher will hook you up. And it just not just those kinds of things, but the ethnic food scene is great as well. Pretty much anything you want, you can find it in Buffalo. So that's one. Number two, I alluded to a little earlier, it's easy to get wherever you need to get. Literally a 15-minute trip from the airport to downtown. And number three, the people here are about as nice as you'll find anywhere. I mean, I know folks have heard the stories of us digging each other out after snowstorms. It's all true. I got stuck. There was a storm a number of years ago, dumped 7-8 feet in the South Towns. I was stuck because of a travel ban at my now mother-in-law's house. And the first day where it was clear, it seems like I did nothing but digging cars out and shoveling stuff out. So we take care of each other here, and we're about as hospitable as you'll find.
I can vouch, although my experiences may not be 100%, but no, I have not had any trouble in Buffalo. And I go up for Patriots games and I go up for Bruins games. So if I can survive those with no scars, I can vouch for what you're saying, Ryan. Bills Mafia, your take on them?
Oh, we got characters. We got characters, and this is the true measure of devotion to a sports team, for being at the absolute pinnacle of the sport for 4 straight years and not coming away with a trophy at all, and then a just complete nosedive for the better part of a quarter century. To still be there, you got to have love in your heart for that, and I don't think that's something that can be matched anywhere in North America.
One of the truly great things I've seen in sports was, I can't remember if it was the parade or just the next season, but the way the fans in Buffalo wrapped their arms around Scott Norwood after he missed that wide right field goal. It was just unbelievable, right? Like, it just seems like That it just seems not possible. Seems like it couldn't happen anywhere else.
I think you're right. I don't think that would happen, for example, in Dallas or, say, Philadelphia or Miami.
Or, well, look at some of those soccer countries, right, where goalies have disappeared or whatever. That's some scary stuff.
Ryan, a hidden sports gem in the greater Buffalo area that our listeners may not be aware of.
Buffalo Museum of Natural History. I don't know if it's still there, but they had a sports exhibit there. One of the actual handmade sabers from the inception of the team back in 1970 was on display there, and I thought that was pretty cool. Apart from that, the rock pile where the Bills used to play, that's still in existence, not in the form it was being played in, but it's there, and I think it's like a high school sports facility now. And of course, my favorite hidden gem, Robert E. Rich All-High Stadium over on Main Street. I think that's Bennett High School, but that is where our soccer club plays, FC Buffalo. They're men, and they're now 2 women's squads. And that is just about the best place to watch a soccer game you'll find here.
Nice. Yeah, we've talked many times. You were talking about the fans and their passion for the Bills, but you could say the same for the Sabres. And you talk about a long-suffering fan base. We've said it on many occasions. I think every one of us at different times is we wish we could gift a championship to the people over in Buffalo, because you certainly deserve it.
I would have given Jay McKee my leg in 2006. Because it was just one injury right after the bloody other, and I think I read that Lindy Ruff was laughing in the airport bar when he found out. He's like, "What?" The coach like, "Why are you laughing?" He's like, "We just lost Jay McKee." He's like, "No, we didn't." I'm like, "Yeah, we did. Staph infection. Can't do anything but laugh." And they still came 20 minutes away from a Stanley Cup final that they would have won.
So, geez, I'm all set with my questions. Dave, Dan, you guys got anything else?
I'm just glad that they're bringing back the black and red Buffalo.
Are they really?
Yes.
The Buffalo Slug?
It's
Are
not
the
the
logo
slug.
too?
The goat head, the black and red one from 96 to 06.
Yeah.
I saw that. Who came up with the idea that it was a goat head?
I'm not
It
sure.
totally does not look like a goat at all.
But that was...
You're right, it does not.
No, it doesn't. But that was the jersey that, I grew up watching the Sabres in and watching Dom Hasek make all those saves. And so I am beyond thrilled to see it back. The only question is, who do I get on it? Do I get, Dylan Cousins? Do I get Jack Quinn? Do I get Alex Tuck? Do I get Ryan Miller?
Right.
See, I don't know. When they switched to that color scheme, I grew up on the classic blue and gold with the Buffalo and the cross swords. So when they changed that, I was heartbroken. I always liked Buffalo's look, but
I know I'm in the minority here. I understand that. But damn if I didn't like the Sabres more than I do now. Just as a general rule, when they were wearing black and red, man. I loved those jerseys. I understand I'm in the minority there, but those were so sweet. I don't get any hate that they get, and I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled that they're embracing that, because all the reverse retro, it's going to be part of the reverse retro thing, I believe, unless they're getting 4 jerseys next year.
Now, my view, take the sweaters we have now and that black and red alternate, do not change them again. That is all we need.
That's it. Yes. Agreed.
That is Buffalo Sabres hockey. And, if you win a cup in one,
then if you win a cup in one, then you could never get rid of them.
right?
See, the reverse is working in Philly. They went back to the jerseys with modified striping that they won the cups in, and they got worse. So I'm saying go back to what you were wearing before in the night.
I remember back in the old days, back in the
old days,
in the Gilbert Perreault days, where we would get WUTV Buffalo 29 up here, which is now a Fox affiliate, but it was independent at the time, and they would have, like, this is how long this is. They would have TV commercials for, buy tickets for the Sabres, right? Like, when was the last time you saw a TV commercial for a professional hockey team, like at the NHL level? And they would always play Saber Dance in the background. That is one thing I really missed is they just, I don't know, it just never was part of the repertoire on game day. Not like it I think it should have been anyway. But yeah, I miss that Saber Dance. To me, it was one of the most recognizable, but
Meanwhile, I'm over here. I'm like, when they wear those black and red jerseys, you play all the music that you played back then. I'm talking Street Fighting Man for when they take the ice, Coheed and Cambria for the power play, Flicker Sticks Beautiful for the goal song. Yeah, just do all that. I did the music for a Sabres prospect showcase game a couple years ago. Played Street Fighting Man when they took the ice and was getting all kinds of love on Twitter for it.
That's it. You can do that. You can go with a retro song that hasn't been seen or heard in a while and has some sort of significance, and it'll make a dent. Like when the Maple Leafs went to Hall & Oates, "You Make My Dreams Come True" as their goal song. Like, people that I went, that I work with were like, "Hey, did you hear the goal song for the Leafs?" And this is just on television, right? Like, this isn't, I don't hang out with a lot of people who go to the Leafs regularly because, I don't run in those those crowds. They're in a whole different tax bracket than I am. But yeah, that you can really make some waves with a new and original goal song, because I got to be honest, like Zombie Nation or like it. For a while, it seemed like everybody had the same old, blow the
You're
horn.
starting to get some variety.
Rock
in the
and roll
NHL.
part 2. Okay, thank you.
Nope. That's on a DNP forever for me now.
Yeah, no, we can't.
You and everybody else.
Yeah, we're not playing that.
That's my favorite. That's literally my favorite part of hockey games is like I choose the goal songs for everybody. There was a naming contest for the Canisius goal song this year. The submissions we got were trash, so I ended up suggesting one. I mixed up a bunch of concepts, and they ended up choosing mine. We've chosen "Legend" by The Score for Canisius this year, which used to be the Beauts goal song, but they decided they wanted the shout song like everyone else in Buffalo. So,
right,
it's that thing that we do. We shout.
So Toronto went with Philly Blue Eyed Soul, huh?
What are we talking about?
Hall & Oates?
Hall & Oates.
Oh, is that like the album it was from or something?
I got
no. Thank you. He's from Philly. Never mind.
I don't know. Whatever.
Daryl Hall's from Philadelphia, and it's Philadelphia Blue Eyed Soul because it's blue eyed. Never mind.
Okay, sure.
All
See,
right,
the
Ryan.
Flyers should be playing Philadelphia Freedom like nonstop, but
The Action News theme to kick off warm-ups a couple years ago was Mytho.
I can't tell if that's a yes, I'm right, or I'm an idiot for suggesting it.
Two things real quick, and then we're going to get back to the star of the episode, Ryan. Well, three things. First thing, Ryan, yes, agreed 100% on the Action News theme song. That was the remix that they played at practice. So, like, that should be the goal song. No, we're going to go with I don't even know what it is because I don't hear it enough at Flyers games. Two, we tried, Dave, But Comcast decided, I don't even know what it is, I forget, but it's a song from the 90s that's fine, but everybody's like, well, why don't we pick something local? No, we don't want that. I was agreeing with you, but also at the same time showing my frustration for anything named Comcast Spectacor. Ryan, back to you.
Trying to figure out what the Flyers actually use for their goal song.
I forgot the name of it, and it's because it's not bad. It's just like
it's just so not used.
It's pointless. Philadelphia Freedom's right there. Hell, they could have used Dave Schultz's penalty box. There is a band called the Boyles, which is a knockoff. It's like a what do you call the genre that Dropkick Murphys are?
Oh,
yeah,
Irish rock. I don't know what it is, but it's like that style of band where it has Irish instruments mixed with modern rock or punk rock. And there's a song, and I hate the song, but it's called The Orange and the Black, and they only play it when they win. Why that's not the goal song when it was literally written for the team, I have no idea, but the team hasn't made a very good decision since Ed Snyder died. Back to Buffalo. I'm stopping now.
I used the Flyers goal song for Canisius a couple years ago. It's kind of catchy.
What was it called again? I forget the name of it, right?
It's called This Girl by Comes and Cooking on Three Burners.
I was going to say, if you don't know it, if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, I know that.
Yeah.
And I never remember the name of it.
Right, so that was the winner. The other two finalists were Tarzan Boy by Baltimore and Beer by Real Big Fish.
Real Big Fish, wow.
Tarzan Boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It doesn't scream goal song to me.
We all suggested, like everybody in Philadelphia suggested completely different songs, and the Flyers were like, just kidding, this is what we already decided, pick one. And we're like, nobody wanted those. Not one person wanted these. Anyway.
What are your choices, A, B, or C? Nah, we're going to go with D.
Oh my God. Damn it, I wish I was in Buffalo. Everybody says, well, at least we're not the Buffalo Sabres. I'm like, I don't know. I could jump through a table going watching the Bills game. I'd rather go do that than watch the Flyers at this point. Just go get their Saber game later that weekend.
That's what I'm going to do in my
table.
That's what I'm going to do in my retirement. I'm going to stand outside Orchard Park and sell tables.
I've been hit with a chair. I've never been put through a table yet, but the year is young.
I have an intact folding table. It will go on eBay for the start of next season. Let's see how much I can get if it's geo-restricted to Buffalo. Now, I had told my wife this before the Bills playoff run started. I said to her, I want you to get all of our important documents and anything sentimental. If the Bills make the Super Bowl, we are getting out of town. Because if the Bills win, people will riot and the city will burn to the ground. If the Bills lose, people will riot and
the city will burn to the ground. Yeah.
But
I was hoping you weren't going to say that you were going to head to the Super Bowl because at what $10,000 a pop,
like you said, way above my tax bracket.
Oof.
I will say this though, you'd be okay because the Eagles won a Super Bowl and the town did in fact burn down. All they did was eat horse poop off the ground.
More than this public servant can afford.
Yeah. Oh God. I saw somebody post a screenshot of the ticket prices and I was like, no, I'll never see a Super Bowl. I will never see a Super Bowl for that month. Even if
charging $700 for a parking spot for the NFC Championship game.
Even if I was rich, I would tell them to kiss my butt. Like, no, I'm not paying that.
In the words of one of my favorite shows that I'm watching right now, Letterkenny, they got real high ticket prices in LA.
I just started watching that last week. In the first 2 episodes, I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then it hit episode 3. I was like, okay, we're good now.
So the creator of Letterkenny is from a place that's about 40 minutes from me.
Ontario.
Yeah. My cousins grew up there. I know Listowel very well. Junior B, Listowel Cyclones.
It's
But yeah,
like
it's
it's like
all
the
based off of like rural Ontario.
it's Canadian Kevin Smith. I believe everything that's happening on this show, just like I believe everything that happened in Kevin Smith movies, except Dogma, because that was the locals. I absolutely believe there are people like that up in that area, like to a T. I have no doubt
totally.
about that. No doubt about that.
Well, Letterkenny's a bigger version of the town that I grew up in and graduated from high school in. Very small town in rural Western New York, surrounded by farmland. So we got our Hicks, burgeoning drug problem. So we have our Skids, a really sizable Mennonite population. So we have them. And at least until, the couple of years after I graduated from school, hockey players. Now, we had hopefully an in for the last Junior Sabres playoff run. The guy who kind of runs the U20, the junior team, is Larry Playfair. He and the Alumni Association have historically overseen the operation of that team. Larry's nephew is one of those hockey players on Letterkenny. So Letterkenny Live was just getting ready to start their tour in like Toronto and the Hammer. And I'm like, if we can swing it, if we have a home playoff game in our next round, can we get, those two hockey players, maybe a couple other characters down here, give the boys a pep talk in the bench, ceremonial face-off before the game? I'm like, that would have been sweet.
Pitter patter.
Pitter patter.
And then COVID hit.
And then COVID hit. Thanks a lot, COVID.
Oh, okay. Gentlemen, I think that is where we're going to need to wrap up for this week. Ryan, what I like to do at this point in the show is let you promote yourself. If you want to, gain a massive Twitter following now, you can let people know where to follow you and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, I thank you all so much, first of all, for having me on. This has been a very enjoyable time, way to kill, the last of my night off during the week. I kind of have a saying that, when I'm working a game, it's not just another game that people there are experiencing. They are experiencing Burgmania. And that is my Twitter handle at BURGmania, Instagram at Burgmania87. I post, all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. Good chunk of my PA demo reel is on Instagram and Twitter. And, it's a great community I've found with other public address announcers like Paul here, another colleague in the Premier Hockey Federation. And, follow along. Let's have some fun.
Okay. Hey, so that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks, everyone, for joining us once again. Mark Viquez couldn't be with us. If you want to follow him and his travels and his other side projects, he's got a ton of them, believe me. You can follow him on Twitter at Ballpark Hunter.
He's the Paul McCartney of this group.
He's the Paul McCartney? What does that mean? It means he's got a lot of stuff going on?
Yeah.
Okay,
he's the Ringo Starr.
I was going to say, what does that make the rest of us?
I'm the Paul McCartney. You're the John Lennon, and Dave is George.
Oh, the vastly underrated George? I'm cool with that.
He wasn't underrated to me. He was my favorite.
Dan, if people want to follow you online, and God help them if they do, where can they follow you?
Jesus Christ. Follow me at DanLaw83 on all social media platforms. I'll be here all week. Don't forget to tip your waitress and try the veal.
I haven't had veal in a long time. I don't want veal. Dave, where can our listeners follow you? And hey, it's Stadium Journey. Do you have any Stadium Journeys planned?
Well, funny you should mention that because
Canada's
we're opening
down.
up again. So OUA stuff is going to kick into gear again. So I don't know exactly when, but I think maybe after our next episode, I will have some OUA hockey and basketball to head to because they will be back in session, and then boom, I think two or three games, and then the season's over. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ProFan9. Check out Obstructed Views, like Ryan's going to go and do right after we're done here. Obstructed Views on YouTube, because this one's on the Buffalo Bills. Highmark Stadium, where we cover, Bills Mafia and all that kind of stuff. Literary journey also continues. I just finished West by West. Interesting about Jerry West, the Lakers player and executive. Reading the history of, yes, the logo, that's true, which he is very uncomfortable with. I'm into two things now: the history of the Montreal Canadiens, which is in depth, and everybody has got to read this one. It's called Fans. It's by Olmsted. What's the dude's first name? Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Olmsted, I forgot your first name. But it's all about it's a psychological study of fandom and why people do what they do. Rather interesting. So I'm gonna probably make my wife read it.
I'll give you the Cliff Note version. People are stupid.
But anyway, Twitter, Instagram @ProFan9.
Since we kept our guest on, I want to throw one more outro question at him because I don't want Greg to yell at me. Should boneless wings be renamed, Ryan?
Yeah, they're chicken bites.
There you go. There's
Thank
your
you.
answer. There's your answer.
Chicken bites, popcorn chicken, which is what Sonic Drive-In has done. And yeah, that's what you do.
Rock on. Thank you, Ryan, for indulging, Mr. Koch? Coke? How you pronounce this?
For the
Koch.
people.
All right, and stadium journeys for me over the next couple of weeks. A lot of PA journeys for me. I think I just counted. I have 14 games over the next 2 weeks. So if you want to find me, I'll be at UMass Dartmouth basketball, UMass Dartmouth hockey, or the Boston Pride. One of those three places. I may squeeze an actual stadium journey visit in next Saturday, depending on crowd procedures and COVID precautions. I may be heading up to Hanover, New Hampshire to check out Dartmouth College for stadium journey. So stay tuned. We'll let you know. Right now, Dartmouth is not letting fans in the building, so that would kill a stadium journey right before it starts. If you want to follow me, check me out at PuckmanRI. And remember, you can find all of our 2,500 plus stadium reviews, news items, and other feature stories on our website, stadiumjourney.com. Connect with us on our social media channels at Stadium Journey. You can find the audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast simply by searching HIAC Talk Radio Network wherever you look for your favorite podcasts. Video simulcasts of the podcast can be found on Stadium Journey's YouTube page. And our classic episodes can still be found at vocnation.com. 5 years worth in the vault right over there. And join us for our live streams every other Tuesday night at 7 Eastern at danlaw.tv. We will be back in 2 weeks. Well, actually 13 days. February 15th, where we might be changing the schedule, right, Dave?
Might be changing the schedule.
All right, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We'll let you know. So once again, thanks everyone for your support. Thanks again, Ryan, for joining us tonight. Ryan Burgess at Burgmania, right? Did I get that right?
At Burgmania on Twitter, at Burgmania87 on Instagram. That's where you find me. Other than that, come on up here to Buffalo and Lecom Harbor Center and experience Griff time. That's all I got to say.
All right. So for Dan, Mark, and Dave, this is Paul wishing you safe stadium journeys and close games. Hope to see you on the road again real soon. Be safe out there.